All right, Ryan, the proposition is a little bit vague. I know it's beneficial, that's, esports is beneficial in some way. It sounds like there's an argument maybe about whether esports should be called a sport. I'm not sure that there's a lot of controversy about some of the advantages of playing, these kinds of electronic sports competitions. Where the argument is here is a little bit awkward. Like I said, there might be an argument about the definitional issue, and you do talk about that a little bit, but the other material, I'm not sure how that relates to something that needs to be argued about. There's no preview of what the supporting structure is going to be. You basically start with the very first of your supporting points, and so that's okay, except that I don't know where you're going after that, and as it turns out, you only had one other stop that you were making, and it was a relatively brief stop. The first point, you do signpost when you get to it, so the internal structure is okay. It's basically the definitional argument. You have some criteria that you provide us. Then you tell us how esports meet those criteria. You've got some good information that talks about those things. I'm not exactly sure that I see that finger coordination with the eyes is physical activity in the way that sports are often perceived as being. So I think you'd have to develop that a little bit more. The notion that you're developing the brain, that's an interesting idea, but I'm not exactly sure that it defines a sport. A lot of people think that sports are kind of brainless. Not all of them, but some of them anyway. I do think that you've got interesting information here about how many people watch the games, participate in the games, the money that's made or bet or spent on those kinds of games. And the last quote that you have on that section really is kind of an attempt to put all of it together and make your point. And I thought that that was the right choice of testimony to finish off that first point with. That worked pretty well. The second point on the benefits, like I said, I'm not sure how that applies to whether or not esports is really a sport. I can see why it's beneficial, but again, you didn't tell us that there was any controversy over the benefits of playing these kinds of games. Certain kinds of games, for example, are designed to have the outcome that you're talking about, the benefit that you're talking about, and unless there was somebody who was saying that they didn't have that, I don't know why that's an argument. If there's a more generic argument about how these electronic games are problematic or time-consuming or a waste or they distract us from other kinds of things, then I could see an argument being there, but I think you would have to be more precise in defining what it is you're talking about there. All right, that'll do you. That'll take care of it. Let's stop that.
Sure, why not?